Tolu Smith here. Make sure y'all subscribe to my boy Downtown Deuce ASAP. Come on, man.
Destination restoration. Destination restoration. Destination restoration. Yeah, Detroit. Destination restoration. Yeah, it's our time. Can you feel the elevation? We on a mission on vacation. Time to create that separation. Championships and motivation. 313 need no explanation. Miss me with all that conversation. We ready for that confrontation. Counting down to our destination. The final destination. Together all the time together. It's us against the world, it don't get no better. We turned it around, that was the beginning. Coming for the crown, you know we winning. Time to put in the work, I'm about to go for steady. Taking our prisoners, it's my time. Yeah, I know that it hurts. Tearing back out the church, you don't wanna see me in my prime. The mission is to ring, we're caught in everything. In the city, supporting the dream. Vision new I never seen, we deserve to be king. It's all or nothing, no in between. The clock is ticking and I hope you're listening. Don't touch me cause I'm sizzling. Physicality is stiffing and mentality is menacing. The dog pound body's crippling. Now the clock is ticking and I hope you're listening. Don't touch me cause I'm sizzling. Physicality is stiffing and mentality is menacing. The dog pound body's crippling. Yeah, feel the elevation. We on a mission on vacation. Time to create that separation. Championships and motivation. 313 need no explanation. Miss me with all that conversation. We ready for that confrontation. Counting down to our destination. The final destination.
Man, oh man, oh man. No song tonight, y'all. No Detroit basketball tonight, unfortunately. Welcome back, guys, to another episode of the Downtown Deuce Show. First things first, boss is at a Denver Nuggets event. She's got a season package, so she's not going to be here tonight. Be back next game. Okay. We are joined, guys, by the one and only Eric Vincent, a.k.a. E. Vinny, with clutch points, rider for the Detroit Pistons. He offered to come on last minute and jump on with me. So I appreciate you coming on, bro. Make sure you guys go follow him over at Top Towel Detroit for sure. And check out all of his work over there, man. Okay. Eric. Ouch.
Tough one.
Tough one, man.
Yeah.
Tough one.
Yep.
We're not going to overreact, right?
No.
It is just one game. This is a young team, right? We're not going to jump off a cliff. Not going to panic. But even with that, this is a tough one to swallow for many reasons. So, Eric, I'm going to go off script. I had some notes. I really thought we were going to win this game. Had to kind of change the whole tune of how this was going to go tonight. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, I'm going to just let you lead it off, bro. First of all, chat, we see you guys in the chat. I see a lot of comments already. Y'all panicking. Don't need to do all that. I understand the frustration. We're going to let it out together. But we're going to let Eric kick it off as far as with what he saw in this game. We're going to jump straight to the initial thoughts and just let us have it, bro. What did you see from this game tonight, man?
There's a lot of takeaways. Again, yes, no need to sound any alarms. This team is not in trouble. There's no need to jump off any roofs. Everything is fine. But if there's frustration with this game and the outcome, it's 100% warranted. Pistons led by as many as 10 points. Had a lot of momentum heading into as late as the first half. It came a back and forth after that. And they still had moments to kind of seize the game. It's just a lot of those crucial details and crucial moments where they still show the signs of a young team, which is totally fine. Mm-hmm. Again, they're stepping into a new ground where they're playing 12-man rotations. They're, getting acclimated to playing in different situations with different players. And even playing against a team like Boston, that's not the exact same team like they played last season. Like, there's different things that you can kind of adjust to. But either way, this is a little frustrating. It seemed like they were repeating a lot of the same mistakes, and they were very, very frustrating. Like, seeing Boston kind of come out kind of like cool in terms of their shooting. Like the first quarter, they were held to, I think, 22% shooting from the field. And then out of nowhere, they just woke up and went on a heater from three. Derek White, who I'm going to get to on an ISO cam in a minute. But he started off, I think, with like 2 or 4 points at halftime and then went on an absolute just flamethrower in the second half going crazy. And it seems like every single time the Celtics were putting up a three, the Pistons were a half second late in terms of closing it out. And it was really frustrating to see. Like Cade, it's not just one person too. Cade does it a lot. This is one of my biggest issues that I have with Cade Cunningham's game is like he'll sink very low defensively and then they'll throw a skip pass or just one shuffle over and he'll be too far in to recover and contest. Ausar does it. Ron Holland does it. Like a lot of guys were kind of falling for that. The veterans, LeVert, Duncan, like they were really going at Duncan defensively as well through a lot of their game plan. And it just seemed like they never really fixed that in any shape. Like even some of the miracle threes they were hitting, you could stop that if you would just make them drive at a certain point. Even if they get to the free throw line of the foul, you still step up and make them drive because they weren't missing from three. Yeah. You know, Cade making the mistakes he made. We'll probably get into that a little bit later. But it's just a lot of things that they could have corrected. Again, they have signs of being a young team. They're going to grow and go through these kind of growing pains. This is a game that they're never going to forget, at least for this season for sure. But, yeah, it was definitely a little frustrating to see how it wound down in terms of what they had to start the game because this is definitely one that they could have won to extend to 14 games.
That's a great point. Like, I kind of feel like, bro, they needed to lose one of these. We just talked about this last show yesterday. We were talking about this, about how, you know, the Pistons going to be able to, you know, catch that record, the regular season record. And I was just kind of saying that they're going to lose some games they're not supposed to because they're going to give up leads. I was saying how the last game against Indiana, how they allowed them to threaten, but they were so depleted, they just didn't have enough down the stretch to be able to close it out. And I was wondering, I was hoping, we were both hoping that they would be able to learn from a win as far as that. But it seems like they just needed to learn from a loss in order for them to really not allow this to happen again. You mentioned it though. Let's just start from the beginning, bro. I felt like they started this game well. Yeah. They started the game well, especially defensively. Like they were turning the Celtics over. They were holding them to one shot early. They were getting out in transition. They hit first, right? They set the tone, which is like what you want to see. Like you mentioned, they went up 26-16 in the first quarter. And this is when Jaylen Brown was struggling. He was trying to play hero ball early in the game. And he could not get anything to fall. And I felt like, for me, you could let me know what you think, Eric, but I felt like the turning point in this game, is when he went to the bench and they allowed, of all people, Baylor Shireman to get on a heater. He had like 10 points in the first quarter with Jaylen Brown on the bench. And that 10-point lead was cut to 6 by the end of the quarter. And you could feel the momentum just swing. For them to be able to go on that run with Jaylen Brown pretty much their primary scorer, and they are not, the Pistons aren't able to build on that, that was a turning point for me. Because I knew at some point, I knew he was going to stay aggressive. I knew he was going to look for a shot. And I knew eventually he was going to get some to fall. Right. So I kind of got nervous in the first half when they were able to cut into that lead. It was a back and forth game, like 10 to 12 lead changes throughout this game. Yeah. And he started getting warm and the game was close because that was the time to take over the game. When he sits down, he can't get anything going. You're up 10 points. You got to take over this game. You can't let Baylor Shireman to allow them to get back into the game. So for me, that was a turning point. And it's like you said, you got to put teams away when you have the opportunity, especially in Boston, especially on the road, especially with a game of this magnitude. You got to take advantage. And they showed their youth.
Yeah, the Pistons did a lot of good things. I mean, you had 42 points from Cade, fairly efficient, 12 of 26 from the field, knocked down 4 triples. That was really encouraging to see, even with 9 attempts. Right. Got to the free throw line 16 times, knocked down 14 of those attempts. I liked towards the end of the game, because real talk, there was the whole conversation at the end where Cade ripped through at half court to see if he can get those 3 free throws, which obviously went how they went, where he missed the final one. He did that again before, and Tony Brothers called it on the floor, and that wasn't correct because he did the exact same thing. And as a matter of fact, that one wasn't even as close as the other call was, and he still called on the floor, which I thought was kind of off. But This is again, those are the kind of moments that you're gonna learn from. Yeah, the 42 points are gonna look nice for Cade. Crossing over 5,000 career points, which
Congrats.
is fantastic for him. But he's gonna remember that free throw forever. Like that's gonna be one that's gonna stick with him. Like these are the moments where you see guys like Kobe, lock themselves in the gym and shoot 1,000 after that, just to kind of be in your mind. Like kind of like what happened with Ron Holland his rookie year after the Milwaukee free throws that he missed. These are the kind of young growing pains that you see from teams like the Pistons. And again, these moments hurt, but you need to see it. They also, I think, need to kind of figure something out with some of their half-court offenses, because I like seeing Cade be aggressive with his shot, but he wasn't really impressive as a playmaker today. They kind of took away the Duren lobs. They really weren't there. He really got just one assist to him for a dunk in transition. I think two, actually, on a deep pass, and those are both early in the game. But outside of that, we haven't really seen a whole lot of the lob connection between Cade and Duren, because teams are kind of drawing in now and just kind of packing the paint to prevent that. Right. So they need to figure something out in terms of their secondary scoring. They did have, I think it was 5 guys scoring double figures, but with Cage's 42 and the next highest being 12, which was 2 different guys, they're going to need a little bit more balance out of that. So offensively, I think that's something that they need to key on as well.
I agree with that, bro. I agree. You mentioned Cade. Let's just go ahead and just jump to the box and just look at everything that we saw, man. Because one thing we're not going to do is blame Cade Cunningham for this loss. I saw some comments already saying, he should have made those 3. The game wasn't lost because of that. He scored 42 points on nearly 50% overall, nearly 40%, better than 40% from 3, 14 and 16 from the free throw line, like 8 rebounds, 5 assists. He had 4 turnovers, steal and a block. But he's the reason we were still in this game, as far as I'm concerned. He wasn't perfect, but he made he was grabbing offensive his effort was there all night. It was there all night long. He didn't want to lose his game. You could see he did not want to lose his game. He had the look in his eye. He was locked in. And it's just a tough one to swallow. But he had 11 of the Pistons' first 22 points in the first quarter. So normally he's trying to he's trying to get his other guys involved. He's trying to fill the game out. But tonight he was more aggressive with his offense, just trying to get it going early, because he wanted to build a lead and to be able to put this team away. But it just didn't happen, man. And you could see it again. They were doubling Cade over and over and over again whenever there was not another ball handler on the court. Right. Whenever Duncan Robinson was in the game, and he didn't play a terrible game, he wasn't his best, but his spacing, they didn't care. They're like, we're going to make somebody else beat us as long as there's no other creator on the court. And that's a problem. That's something I think they have to continue to look at. As much as I like Duncan Robinson shooting, that's something that I think they have to address for sure. Because they just didn't respect anybody else to be able to create anything. Right. And that's a big problem. So the Pistons defense did help early with that. It allowed them to get in transition, right? So Cade wasn't in half court as much, and he was able to find guys, but the second half was a different story. I won't go too deep. I'll let you chime in and let me know what you were seeing from Cade.
No, yeah, I agree with you. That's a big reason why, because you see a lot of arguments about how Pistons starting 5 should go and the kind of offensive sets that people want to see for Cade with spacing and shooting around. I want to see him have shooters around as well, but I don't like the idea of him as this heliocentric creator where he's, everyone just spread out and he's creating on his own and then finding who's open at a point. I don't like that at all. I like the variety of having another scorer and a creator. I think that's when he's truly at his best. And I think that was kind of coming to fruition in what we're seeing right now. Yeah, I don't like seeing the double teams. Even the final possession, or not the final possession, the one before the free throws that he took, where he's getting the ball in bounds and he tries to get the spin move and he turns it over out of that. To me, we talked about this before. I'm not ever concerned about the number of turnovers that Cade has, but when he turns the ball over is the biggest part to me. Yes, I don't think he was, one of the big reasons why they lost this game, even though he had some big moments that were bad. Like you said, the missed free throw, the turnover, and then some lapses on defense. He did a good job in some spots, but again, the late contests are really killing this team, and that's been a problem with him for a couple years, to be honest. But yeah, I think the numbers are going to look just fine, But, for the moments where we're looking for him to be a superstar, and I wouldn't blame people if they were upset for how this, thing ended based on what his effort was, because if we're going to give him this credit for being this amazing fourth quarter guy, we got to be fair when he's not, playing up to stat when, these kind of moments call for him the most. But yes, I think more so than, him making the error, those turnovers, especially when they come out of a double team, is the ones that be frustrating, because it's like, dang, I just really want to see that one other creator out there that can just take a little bit of that pressure off of him.
Exactly.
Like, they still don't have that. Again, even a lot of the shots we saw from Duncan Robinson, they were all contested for the most part. Like, Boston did a pretty good job of making sure that they were, on the line and contesting as often as they could. But they need another creator really bad. Hopefully, it could be Ivy in terms of, when he ramps up to 100%. But as of right now, they're missing that really badly, especially for their half-court offense when they can't play in transition.
Exactly. When they can't get out and run, that's when it's a problem. You would see them swarm him over and over and over. Even at times when Caris was in the game with him on the last turnover, where Cade tried to do a little too much. He tried to go behind the back and spin. That's when he gets into trouble. And he was just trying to do a little bit too much instead of trying to use his teammates. I understand he wants to be the one to make the play, but sometimes if you know they're coming like that, you got to even if you get rid of it and get it back, just to kind of reset and make them have to come to you again. You know what I mean? So like, he didn't play a perfect game. I think he was tired too, man.
Possible.
Like, I'm not making excuses for him, but I don't like to see Cade over 35 minutes ever.
36 tonight?
I think it was 36.
Yeah,
36 tonight. And and the two-way play once again, because he made a lot of good defensive plays early in this game. Remember the alley-oop where he got a hand on it in the lob?
Yeah.
He got a finger on it, got the rebound, came back down the court, knocked down the three. That's a 5-point swing on his own.
Yep.
All by himself. So he was doing a lot on both ends of the court. I think he was just tired, bro. And it looked like he could have short armed that last free throw.
Yeah.
The last one. Like, he kind of just tried to guide it in instead of just shooting it normally. It's a lot of pressure.
Even
but we need him to go ahead.
Sorry, real quick. Yeah, even that three that he shot that was really flat before he got to those free throws. He airballed that one. Right.
Yeah. I'm just saying. So, it was he gave us 42 points. Like 42, 8, and 5. It's hard to look at him and point at him for the reason of this loss. For me, it was a team loss, bro. Like, this was a sloppy game. This was a sloppy game from beginning to end. After that first quarter, like midway through the first quarter, it just got very sloppy. So, I'll leave it there with him. We can move on, but like you said, he's definitely going to remember this one for sure. The same way you mentioned Ron. Everybody has that moment. Kobe had his moment with those 3 missed air ball threes in the playoffs. I'm not making excuses for him, but it is what it is. It is what it is. I mean, had he not done what he did, this could have been a blowout or a double-digit loss.
Right.
Prior to that. So we'll leave it there. He's got to get better. He's got to work on the turnovers. Got to get better. We've seen him play great down the stretch in clutch games. This was not one of them.
For sure.
This was not one of them. So, it is what it is. But overall, I'm not going to blame him for this loss.
No.
All right, guys, let's go to Duncan Robinson, man. Duncan Robinson, guys, had 11 points on 4 for 9 shooting, 3 for 8 from 3, 2 rebounds, 3 assists, 1 turnover, 1 block in 30 minutes. So what was it that you saw from Duncan? It was kind of a mixed bag for me with Duncan. But you can go first. Let me know what you saw.
Yeah, Duncan wasn't one of his best games. Again, it looked like, especially early, Boston was going at him when they had the ball. They made it a point to put him on an island and make him defend. And he tried holding his own for the most part. Jalen Brown had the off arm where he thought he had a crossover and got himself a little highlight, but it really was an off arm. They had a lot of off arms and a lot of plays where they would shoot threes and just fall instead of they do a lot of theatrics over in Boston.
They do.
It's all good,
They do.
Fine. But yeah, for Duncan again, I like him in this group. I think he's finding his rhythm. I think he's getting a lot more comfortable as a shooter. Even just the numbers alone. Granted, you said you don't like Cade playing 36 minutes. I like to see a world where Duncan doesn't have to play 30. I feel like that's a lot for a guy that plays the way he does, especially if he's only getting up 9 shots. Like when we saw Malik Beasley last year, and I know the comparison's not fair in some ways, it has to be had. So if you're going to play 30 minutes, you got to get up more than 9 shots. And again, it feels like at times he passes up a lot of them because he's not wide open. Like he doesn't He's not great at shooting over defenders, which is fine, even though he's 6'7". But you can tell that he wants to be, clear as he can be when he's taking over shots.
Yep.
Again, the defense is what it's going to be. I'm not expecting him to ever be able to lock up guys, especially, a team like the Celtics that has multiple creators on their team. Wasn't expecting him to be that, but it's clear when they're cooking and they are able to put him on an island and kind of expose some of your holes defensively, because the strengths are Ausar, Cade when he's locked in, Ron when he's locked in, Duren, beef stew. Duncan makes plays. He'll get some charges and deflect some passes, but he's not a guy that you're going to consistently rely on defensively. So,
right.
I wouldn't mind the 11 points. Just on a different kind of scale with a different kind of offense around them. But unfortunately, they're in a position where they need him to do more, and I felt like he could have done better in that situation.
I just don't want to see him in late game situations, bro. In the game, I just don't. For offensive and defensive reasons. We talked about the doubles on Cade and how they're willing to leave Duncan open because they're going to try to force a turnover, and it worked. Right. So that's the offensive part, but the defensive part, we just talked about it yesterday. Like, I want to win games with our defense. Mm-hmm. Whether that's Daniss Jenkins, who we're going to get to later, who only played a few minutes. Whoever it is in the game. That's why I wanted to see Stu come in instead of Tobias. I want to win these games with defense. And they were, like you mentioned, they were hunting him out. I don't think he provided enough offensively, even as far as just spacing as a threat, to play that many minutes. Mm-hmm. That's just too many minutes. Unless you're a dog on the defensive end and making a ton of plays on defense, you can't have 30 points and have 9 points, or 30 minutes and play and have 9 points.
Right.
You just can't do it. Like, that's at that point, you're just getting cardio. Because they're not respecting you as a spacer. They're not worried about you. They know Cade is going to be the guy to make something happen. Mm-hmm. So for me, that was the biggest thing. He started off okay. He started off, make knockdown shots. But once they started staying attached to him or sending multiple guys at him, he's got to give it up. And now you got 10 seconds in the shot clock. And you got to reset and you got to try to make something happen. You know what I'm saying? That was the game plan. So I wish they would have made an adjustment and just came with somebody else who, once they get the ball off the double team, can make a play. Mm-hmm. That's why I can't wait until a guy like Jaden Ivey gets in, who didn't play well tonight at all. He didn't play well at all tonight. He really, really struggled tonight. We're going to get to him as well. For sure. But that's why I want to see guys like that on the court in those situations, because it's too predictable. Right. You mentioned the heliocentric offense. Yeah, I don't want to see Cade top of the key with 10 eyes on him defensively. I don't want to see that. I don't want to see that. That's easier to guard. When everybody can see the ball, that's easier to guard. So, overall, I don't think he played well enough to warrant that many minutes. And on both ends of the court, he kind of was a liability, especially in the second half.
Yeah, the Pistons have a lot of dependent players on offense where they need guys to kind of help facilitate their looks. Mm-hmm. They were hoping that Caris would be one of those guys that could kind of help as one of those creators. He's been okay. I don't know what his obsession is with trying to tightrope the sidelines under the hoop. He does it like two
that
or
turnover
three
killed
times
us.
a game. Yeah, that was a brutal spot for that. He seems to try to do that 2 or 3 times a game. And again, a guy like Duncan, who again can have some value for a team like this, but in the situations where, like you said, he's trying to create his own and he doesn't have the affordability to kind of create those kind of separations or shots, it shows, how limited the Pistons can look offensively sometimes. Because, granted, this wasn't like just a ridiculously sloppy game. They were getting looks. They only turned the ball over 13 times. That's not a lot at all for them. So they just showed that, again, like we just talked about, when they're not running in transition, they're exposing the point where they really need that secondary score. Again, it's easy to get Ausar in open space to look amazing, or Duren, throwing down dunks over people in open space. But when it's condensed in them half-court sets, that's really where they're going to have to start finding some improvements, if they want to be where they want to be come the postseason. That's
another really good point, bro. Like, that's who we are. We like to create turnovers and get out in transition. I feel like the half-court is more so that's the secondary option. That's when Duncan Robinson is at his best. That's when the pick and roll, action with JD, that's when that's at its best. But we want to get out in transition as much as we can. Mm-hmm. So if you're not really able to help us do that, you know what I'm saying? You're not really helping us. Want to get to the super chat real quick. My boy Will coming in hot says, we let the Celtics shoot their way back into the game. I'm not going to crucify Cade for the missed free throw. That Duncan Tobias lineup, Brown was exposed. That's a great point too. Duncan Robinson and Tobias Harris in the court together is tough defensively. Mm-hmm. I know, offensively that's cool, if you're knocking down shots. And Tobias was, solid. But those two together on the court with a guy like Jaylen Brown out there, like he was getting to the rim and there was no help, bro. He was getting dunks, no help. He was getting to the bucket for and-ones, not a lot of help there. Like you can't let him shake loose like that. I think that's a lineup thing for sure. Go ahead. I think that's a good point, Will. Go ahead.
And I was going to text you, actually, because I was ready to hype that up because there was a point where I think it was Tobias who hit a bucket, then Caris hit a bucket, and then Duncan hit a bucket. I'm like, all right, yeah, the vets are kind of stepping in, holding their own while Cade is taking a breather. And then things kind of fell apart defensively, and you realize you couldn't have them all out there at the same time. So, yeah, that didn't work for too long. I was this close to get excited about it, but it didn't last long at all.
Man, okay. So we won't crucify Duncan. It wasn't just him. It wasn't just anybody. This was a team loss for sure. We're just highlighting what we saw with each guy. Agreed. All right, guys in the chat, I see you guys saying, talk about this guy, talk about that guy. We're going to get to everybody. Just be patient. We're going to go through the starters, and then we'll go to the reserves. So just hang on. We'll get to everybody individually. Let's go to Ausar Thompson. So Ausar Thompson tonight, guys, had 8 points on 2 for 8 shooting, 1 or 2 from 3. 3-4 from the free throw line, 7 rebounds, 2 assists, 2 turnovers, 2 steals, 1 block in 26 minutes. You want to take off on Ausar?
Yeah. I didn't realize he only played 26 minutes.
Yeah, I didn't either.
I feel like the inflated rotation that they're playing with now is kind of cutting a lot into his minutes. He kind of came back from the minute restriction anyway off of that ankle injury he had. So maybe they're still ramping up a little bit, but I like what I'm seeing from him, especially on defense. We talk about generators on offense. He can generate his own offense, especially in transition where he's picking guys, pockets with the ball and going to create his own layups. Forced an 8-second right out the gate, right after halftime. Had a couple, pickpockets. Did a really good job of picking up full court. Yeah. And I feel like that's where he's, most special because of his length. He's doing a really good job of defending without fouling as well. And I think that's where he brings his best value. It's still really frustrating sometimes to watch offensively. The jumper just seems so flat every time. Even when he knocks down like those little middies where he's fading back and like right in front of the hoop, it seems like the shot is just really flat when it comes off and doesn't really have a lot of loft and touch to it. Yeah. I really want to see that kind of, work its way to improvement. And it's a lot of times where he has the ball or gets the ball up top and doesn't look to score. And that can be kind of frustrating as well because the team needs him to do that, especially in a lot of spots. Obviously, he's not a great free throw shooter, but at the very least, you're putting pressure and grabbing fouls, on Boston by attacking and getting to the rim. Right. And a lot of times, they're treating him like, the poor shooter that he can be. But, he's in his head sometimes as well and not attacking and, making the most of his opportunities with the ball. So, again, I like Ausar. I like him. I think he's a helpful glue guy for the team. 8 points tonight. Hit the boards pretty well. 8 rebounds, 1 block, 1 steal. He shows his value, I think, as a glue guy. But, there's, again, still some moments, especially in half-court moments and areas where you show that it's something else that's missing or needed from him to kind of take the Pistons to where they want to go. Like, it's just like this game really showed a lot in terms of what half-court execution and how important it is for these young guys. Like Cade included, not even just the guys who are learning offense. Like, all of them kind of need to kind of round out that identity because that's probably the biggest area of improvement that they need right now. Yeah, it's crazy, bro, because, like, it was so many times they were just leaving him. He would catch the ball. It would be the ball movement would be great. You would see 3 or 4 passes in the half court, and it would always find its way back to him. Yep. You know what I'm saying? I saw it would happen so many times. It's like if that was somebody who was confident, we could have so many more points just off of the attempts. But he's like, when he's catching it even wide open at times, it's like he knows they're leaving him and he's afraid to shoot it. Right. So it wasn't like he was finding the ball, catching them, retrieving it and trying to get it up. Like they were literally saying, okay, fine. We're going to make this guy beat us. Right. You guys are going to move the ball? Fine. We're going to make him take the shot. And so many times it's like, man, if he could just knock down just a couple of those, offensively, that would have gone a long way, especially in a game when they just couldn't miss, in spurts for sure. But I'm not going to focus on the offense. I'm just noticing, like, as far as the two-way play, that would have been really, really helpful. It's just having somebody that can just knock down shots when the ball keeps coming to you, because it's not going to keep coming to you if you're making them respect you. Right. You know what I'm saying? So it makes the whole defense have to adjust if you're willing to take them and make them.
and it just kept finding him, and he kept refusing to take it. And you could see that was a game plan because it happened so many times tonight. But defensively, I have to give him a lot of credit, man. You know, you mentioned the steal out the gate. He got a steal on Jaylen Brown. I think it was first play of the game. He got a steal on Jaylen Brown and got it turned Pritchard over a few plays later. Backcourt, or not a backcourt, but an 8-second violation to start the second half. Knocked down the three with a crazy half court, the Chauncey Billups style three from half court to end the half. You know, so he did do some good things. I felt like defensively, he was the player of the game. Defensively for what he gave you. But it's just like offensively, man, down the stretch is just hard because you're playing 4-on-5 out there. And that's what makes it tough. So, yeah, that was tough to see, man. That was tough to see. Anything else on Ausar?
I really want to see his handle tighten up as well. I feel like he does a good job of kind of cleaning up loose ends at times, whether it's cutting off ball and, you know, finishing, you know, when maybe it's Cade or Duren draw a crowd or draw some extra attention, and then he has, you know, his own look on his own.
Yeah.
There are some times where, again, not even just for the you know, not being able to shoot. It's also where, because I think it was one time where he was, you know, trying to get to the lane, and then he tried to spin, and then he flung the ball and lost it on the sideline. Like, he does that a couple times, even so much to the point where it's also costing him layups as well.
Right.
I just want to see his handle get a little bit tighter as well. Again, they really need somebody in that front court to kind of step up more as a consistent offensive scorer. Because as much as I love Jalen Duren, I do think he still can be an all-star. We'll get to him in a minute. I don't want him really being their number 2 guy, like as a scorer. Yep. And again, whether they have that or not is still up for debate. But as of right now, they kind of need some elevation from a lot of the guys based on how they played tonight, especially when they're in half-court areas.
I agree, bro. We can leave that there for sure. That's a great way to end that segment. Put a cherry on top of that for sure. Well said, bro. All right, guys, let's go to Tobias Harris, man. Tobias Harris, guys, had 12 points on 4 for 8 shooting, 1 of 5 from 3, 3 of 3 from the free throw line, 4 boards, 3 assists, 1 block in 27 minutes. So I thought, once again, bro, I'm not gonna harp on this too much. I want to see Stu start. And we're gonna get to Stu. I just feel like down the stretch of games and even to start games, man, like he gives you what he gives you on offense. And he made some timely, you said the last show, like it's not always the volume with him, it's just is when he knocks him down. And more times than not, he is knocking him down in big moments in the half court once again. But It's like, why are we in the half court? Because we did get a stop the last time down, and now they're scoring. You know what I'm saying? So like we kept finding ourselves in the half. We didn't really find ourselves late in this game turning them over. Everything was taking the ball out the hoop and trying to respond. Take it out the hoop, try to respond. It was never us getting a steal or force him to a tough shot and we're getting out and running. So for me, it's like, yeah, it's great that he can knock down shots in the half court, but let's try to avoid the half court if we can. You know what I'm saying? So for me, that's the biggest thing with him. He knocked down shots when, big shots and he knocked down a corner 3, I think, which was big. But I just want to see a defensive lineup at the end of the game, bro. Tighten up the screws defensively, make them take tough shots and secure the basketball and then try to get out in transition. And I felt like with him on the court at times, it was hard to do that because they just couldn't get stops down the stretch. What did you see?
I think it could work. I'm not mad at the idea. I think sometimes Stu can cost him the ability to even do that because he had 3 fouls right out the gate in the first half. Okay. And that kind of limited his time to be on the floor. And I think in certain aspects or in certain games or certain matchups, it would make sense to have him as a starter, especially, again, if you want the number one identity of the starters and your roster altogether to be defense, it would help to have your best defender, in your starting lineup. I think defensively he would be a great starter. I just don't see it offensively for him right now. Going to Tobias, we'll go back to Stewart in a minute. But for Tobias specifically, he was okay today. I wasn't blown away by his performance. I think they did need maybe a little bit of assistance in terms of how they were defending the Celtics, and maybe it would have helped to have Stu on the floor a lot more. But in terms of the offensive output they got, he did hit some nice shots late when they needed it. Again, but you can just keep seeing with the age where it's coming up, like where he's running on transition and he falls on the floor because he's running with Cade and he's laying on there for an extra second. It's like, oh man, he really getting up there. That's okay. Yeah. It's no big deal.
I mean, it's natural.
But he's playing amongst, a bunch of young bucks. So it's like, it's kind of hard for him to, stay in that, especially when their identity is running and giving 100% effort at all times. So I like Tobias. Again, I wouldn't mind if they wanted to try a more defensive minded lineup. I thought they could have had it with him. They did have it last year for sure. But I just want to see a little bit more growth from Stu if they were to make that change, and I don't know if we've seen that yet.
Okay, I think that's fair. We said that last show too, as far as if and when Jaden is ever to get back to that point that he was at last year, I think that's when you bring Stu back,
right?
Just to kind of offset the loss of the creation that you have with Tobias on the court. So I think I understand if that is why Tobias is still starting. I understand it because you don't want to because then at that point you're really kind of heliocentric with Cade as far as offensively,
right?
Which you take away even more offense when you take out Tobias. So I understand it. I don't know, man, but I like you said with Tobias, it's just hard for me to watch the Pistons late in games continue to take the ball out of the basket. Take the ball, especially on the road. It's just hard to see that. I want to see them running. I want to see them get into what they do best. And I just feel like it's hard. We're not seeing it with Tobias, at least late in games. I won't say the entire game, but at least late in games, I'm just not seeing enough of the Pistons showing what their identity is because they're not able to because they can't get stops. So I think it's like either way, either you get more defense or you get more offense. I understand it's not really a perfect situation right now, either way, but I do see where you're coming from with Tobias. So we'll leave it there. Cool. Let's go to JD. JD tonight, guys, had 12 points on 4% shooting, 4-6 from the free throw line, 16 rebounds, 1 assist, 2 turnovers in 30 minutes. So I'll let you tee off on JD first.
JD was okay. Again, this is another performance from where, this is like one of those double-double games you see from like Andre Drummond where he had the double-double and the number looks like it. You're going to see the double-double, but it wasn't a whole lot of impact that came with it. And that's what I kind of felt like with Jalen Duren today. I wasn't really blown away by him defensively. They tried to put, Jaylen Brown on an island versus him a lot. That was one of his biggest shots, getting that and one where he was able to get a step on Duren and finish at the rim. Again, I like him. I like the effort that I saw. I like, the ability to crash and, get 16 boards, even the 6 offensively. But in terms of his scoring, I was kind of just – it left a lot to be desired for me. And again, I like the impact that he can have as a secondary scorer. But I think sometimes people maybe got a little bit, I don't want to say deceived, but I don't want to put too much chip on the dip thinking that he can be doing that consistently. I feel like that's not really his game. And I feel like what we saw tonight kind of showed that. Again, I joked about it before, but I still do want to see the change of him getting the ball a little bit closer to the hoop because a team as savvy and smart as Boston, they're going to be able to rip you up. And they tried to. Every single time he brought the ball low, they went at him. Now, he got fouled a lot, but they're not going to let you get that on the road in Boston. They're going to make you earn it. So if you want to make him earn it and, impose his physicality, he don't have to dribble all the time with the, the hezzy and the between. Like, we don't need that. Like, sometimes it looks good from a big, it's surprising and it's fun, but sometimes you also just want to see bigs do big things.
Right.
And I would much rather see him just getting the ball a little bit closer to the hoop instead of trying to ISO from the top constantly. I think it just opens up way too much space for him to get ripped up, and I think it kind of limits his ability to do a lot of the things that he's good at in terms of a score. So not a terrible game from JD, not great either. Again, I just think they showed where they can show a little bit more growth at for his offense.
Yeah, I do want to give him credit for his effort. 16 rebounds is nothing to sneeze at. I do feel like he tried to get on the boards, especially the offensive glass, just keeping balls alive, just tapping it up. And you could see that. You could see his jersey literally getting pulled like this a lot in this game, bro. Like, he's been good with doing this after every missed call, but after 4 or 5 smacks, he started like, come on, bro. Like, and they just weren't big enough. Like, I'm not gonna blame this all on the officiating. But, bro, he was being guarded by Luka Garza and another big who I don't even know who his name is. I don't even know what his name is. Like, they were hacking the mess out. They were like literally creating drum beats on this dude's body. Like, it was crazy, man. Like, just showing the replays, and I can hear some of the smacks through the screen. It's like, bro, where's the foul? It's crazy. So, right. But, man, like, you're right. They're not going to give you every call. But when you're standing right underneath the rim, maybe not even just late in the game when you want to let the players decide the game, but just call it honest throughout the course of the game. I don't think they called it honest, bro, throughout the course of the game for him, man.
No.
So I like that he didn't get discouraged. He still tried to do his best. But offensively, I'm with you. I want to see him camp out in the paint and demand the ball. If the entry pass isn't there, move it around and let it find its way that way. He did kind of remain in the paint a little bit. He got to work on that too. So he got called for three seconds a couple times in this game where he just kind of like he loses track of how long he's in there. You got to have that silent counter in your head to know how much time you have. And a few times he got caught with his hand in the cookie jar with that. But once again, man, the effort was there. There's things to clean up. As long as the effort continues to be there for him and he focuses on what he's best at, like you said, which is just be physically imposing, or just take over the game, use your strength, use your athleticism, and just dominate. Just dominate. Make them call the foul. Don't look for the foul. Even if it doesn't come, make them call it. Make them call it. So overall, I'm not mad with JD. I'm not mad with what I saw from him tonight. Like, it could have been better, yes, but the amount of possessions that he kept alive, bro, with his effort, I can't ignore that. And he made two big free throws to tie the game late in the game when we needed him.
Huge, yes.
Right? So like, I want to give him some credit for this game, because I think this time last year he would have missed at least one of those. At least one of them, maybe both. Right? So I want to give him credit for what he did do well, but this was not a great game for anybody.
Yeah. I want to see, there's at least three that I can think of off top where he had Derek White switched on him underneath the hoop and he didn't get the ball. So I'm not going to put all of that on him. The playmakers have to find it. Cade got to get him the ball. Whoever's on the outside has to find a way to get him the ball. But he also got to bark for it as well. Like that's I'm sure out of Sheed School 101. If you got, barbecue chicken lined up on you, you have to demand the ball every single time. Again, force a double team, whatever you got to do, force a foul. You can't have a 6'5", 6'6" dude lined up on you and you don't demand the ball. Again, I think they're at their best when that's where he's touching the ball anyway. So
you're right.
Whether he's getting his sets and they're running action for him to pass, or help set screens to get Duncan open, or a quick rub for Cade or something different, like that's when they're at their best. I saw a lot of one-on-one basketball from them, and he kind of gets into that habit as well sometimes. Again, sometimes it works. Sometimes it's frustrating when it doesn't. Again, it would be a little more easier to digest for me as a spectator for them to get, like, if you want to ISO like that 3 times, cool. But you're going to touch it 4 with your foot in the paint, and just so we can balance that out.
That's
instead
fair.
of you trying to be, Iverson at the top every single time. I don't really want to see that out of his game, but we'll see what they, take from film and, fix for that.
Another thing too, it wasn't just him. It was a couple guys that did it tonight. Well, another guy that did it tonight, which we'll get to. But these fouls on these 3-pointers, bro. These fouls on these 3-pointers, man. JD had one. Caris had one. Like, can't do that, man. Like that's just a mental lapse. Like, Caris had it at the end of the half with no time left on the clock. Like, you can't do that, man. So it's part of the growing process. These guys are still young. They're still learning how to win and close out games. Keeping it in perspective, we're still 15-3, still a cushion in the Eastern Conference. It hurts that this was an NBA Cup game as well. It kind of killed 2 birds with 1 stone in a negative way, as far as the streak being snapped and you may not be in position to move on to the elimination rounds, right? But this is one of those, like we always say, Eric, young teams, no matter how talented they are, they win some games they're not supposed to, and they lose some games they're not supposed to.
Absolutely.
This is one of the ones that they lost that they were not supposed to. And hopefully, like you said, in a loss now, that it was a loss instead of a win, they can learn from it. And I think JD is one of the ones that will also learn some things. Go ahead.
Yeah, I think this game hurts more than like a beatdown against the Cavaliers. Like, you obviously don't want to get blown out and, not defend your home turf, but in a game where you're supposed to win and you have opportunities and you see moments where you could have played better, had a little bit more effort defensively, had a little bit more focus in certain possessions, like, those are the ones that are going to nag more than, okay, well, we got beat up. It is what it is. Like, those are the ones that you really want to clean up. Blowouts are going to happen. Nights are going to happen where you just don't have your shot or you don't have your legs. It is what it is. But in moments like these where you have opportunities to kind of close it out late and, show that you can swipe a late one, that's where it's really going to count most. So hopefully they can take note for what it was to find a progression for it.
Yeah. Let's go to reserves, man. And let's start with J.I. J.I. had by far his worst game of the 3 that he has played so far. Tonight, he finished with 7 points, 2 for 9 shooting, 0-5 from 3. I don't think I've ever seen him go 0-5 from 3 before. So that was a stinker for sure. He just couldn't throw it in the ocean. 3-3 from the free throw line, 4 rebounds, 1 turnover, 1 steal in 15 minutes. So I'll let you lead it off with J.I. What did you see from him tonight, bro?
Yeah, I wanted to see one of them triples go in. Again, the form still looks like it's intact. Only 15 minutes of play, 2 of 9 from the field, 0 of 5 from 3. Yeah, I was pretty underwhelmed with what I saw. Like, it just seems like, again, I understand the timidness, but you want to see those signs of the training wheels starting to come off. And maybe it's early; it's still 3 games.
Yep.
After spending as much time as he's had off, 10 months, it's going to take a minute, and I totally understand that, especially while the Pistons are trying to find a rotation that works with him being involved as well.
Yeah.
Again, there is value to him being there. I thought he got fouled that one transition play they had, I think, in the second quarter where Cade was bringing it down, dropped it to him, and then he had 2 guys kind of collapse on him, and they didn't call anything, and then Cade got the rebound, and then he gets fouled the very next shot.
Right.
I don't know. I'm just waiting for that moment where, again, it don't have to be no 20, 30-point outburst, but just something to show that the confidence is back, that, he's able to get back to the form that we saw before, where it wasn't just confidence, it was understanding. Like, one of the biggest, I won't say knocks, but one of the biggest things we want to see in terms of Ivey's progression, really since he started in the league, is his start to stop quickness and his ability to kind of turn on his speed, turn it off. He did a really good job of that as early as the preseason of last year. I remember games vividly where he was in open floor, slowed down a little bit, then turned on the speed where it was time to get to the cup. And right now he still seems really robotic right now, and it's kind of hard to watch. Like, even the dunk that he had against, was it the Bucks they just played against in transition, and he was barely over the rim. Like, I just want to see a little bit of those signs of, okay, he's getting to that point. Again, he did some good things. I like his ability to create, show a little bit more engagement defensively. I thought he was a lot better defensively than he had been the first couple games. Yeah. But offensively, I'm waiting to see those training wheels come off. Whenever it's going to be, that's what I'm waiting for and lined up for.
You can tell it's been 10 months, bro.
Yep.
You can tell it's been 10 months. I want to give the Boston Celtics some credit because I do think they are a good defensive team. They're very disciplined. They're locked in. They play on the string. And I think MB well said it earlier, but we're the hunted now, man. Yep. Like, teams are game planning against it. They're putting a little bit of extra time into game planning against us. Yep. So if you're not in sync offensively, they'll make you pay. And I think this was the worst kind of matchup, the worst kind of team for him to play as he's coming back and trying to get reacclimated. You could just see he's still trying to balance that act, find that balancing act of how to play within the flow of the offense. More times than not, it's timid. But you saw at times he tried to get aggressive, but he would overcompensate. He would pat the ball a little bit too much and try to go one-on-one. You know what I mean? So he's still trying to find that balancing act of how he can just be a cog in the offense instead of not being too timid and passing up shots, right, but also not trying to go one-on-one and play hero ball. And all of his shots looked good. Like, they were all good looks. They were all in the rhythm. Most of them were wide open. He just missed it. And they weren't bad misses. He wasn't airballing. It wasn't way off line. It just came up a little bit short or a little bit long. So I think it was just one of those things. To be honest with you, I'm not really concerned about him. Like, this was his worst game by far. But guys, the time he was off for a year almost. Like, we gave Ausar a lot of grace when he missed 8 months. This is 10 months. Right. It's a long time, man. Like, I know we expect these guys to come back and just, pick up where they left off, but they had to get themselves into a rhythm to get, like, he had to, when he went down in January 1st, he still had late October, early November, December to get his way into that rhythm. Mm-hmm. He's had 3 games to do that so far. So it's just like, I'm not panicking on him. He didn't play great by any stretch of the imagination tonight. This was a stinker for Jaden Ivey, for sure. But it's still game 3. I think the fact that we lost this game is what magnifies his play and him not playing. The fact that it was a streak on the line. It's Boston. It's a close game. And then he doesn't play well. I think that kind of heightens it for everybody. Like, yeah, he played terrible. This is the worst time. Yeah, it was the worst time. But it had to come at some point. We all knew. We've been saying to E, like, it's going to be peaks and valleys with J.I. when he comes back.
Right.
That's what I said. That I've said this religiously, guys. And if you've been paying any attention to my channel, you know I've been saying that. So don't be surprised when I say it now. Don't say I'm not making excuses for him. I've been saying this. This is exactly what I was talking about. This is one of those games that I'm talking about. So as long as it doesn't continue like this, we ain't got to have this conversation over and over again. Go ahead.
Yeah, I think it's going to take a minute just for that rhythm to kind of get back in check. Like last season, he was averaging around 14 shots a game. And I don't think he's taken more than 10 up to this point, and he's still playing in a condensed, 15-minute set. It's really hard to, get back into that kind of motion, and you can see it. It's so obvious when he's on the wing and he's looking up at the top of the key of, you want me to get rid of it now? Or,
right.
Before when he was getting the ball with step backs and he's just not even looking at nobody else, and he's just laser focused knowing I'm either going to get to the hoop or I'm going to get my shot off. And I agree with you. I don't think he forced any, bad looks. A lot of his shots were open, or it was, in the flow of the offense at the very least, which I've appreciated at the very least.
Yeah.
Through the rustiness, it doesn't look like he's pressing to say and prove who he is. He's just trying to figure his way and trying to get back into his flow. But you could tell, it wasn't going for him tonight. Again, I wanted to see one of those threes just go down, and they were close, like you said, either back iron or they just lift up a little bit short. It's going to be hard for him to get back into that flow from what we've seen, especially in a minute restrictions. That whenever JB feels comfortable enough to give him 20 minutes or play up to 25 or whatever it may be, that's when things are going to turn. But like we talked about before, with Duncan playing better, with Caris, impacting the Pistons offensively, Cade playing at MVP level, Daniss scoring and providing assistance there.
Yep.
It makes it harder for kind of him to step in and say, all right, well, I can come get mine too. So
right.
There's a lot of stuff that JB's going to have to figure out. I think he's done a pretty good job so far. Again, I don't mind the 12-man rotations that they've had because even if it is frustrating, they don't look horrible doing it, and it makes sense for why they're doing it. Like you played, winning basketball with a lot of different guys. Now you kind of got to figure out who the best are, as, things like the trade deadline and other things come up. So, it's I won't say it's going to be clunky, but you're going to be able to tell that they're just kind of figuring out some stuff, over the next several games. So, hopefully J.I.'s progression can come with it.
One more thing on that, bro. If you guys notice, we talked about how he's still finding his way and still trying to figure out, just kind of his place in this offense. And this obviously that's going to happen 3 games in. But one piece of evidence to that is who did JB go with down the stretch when he did have a secondary ball handler in the game? It was Caris LeVert. It was Caris. So that tells me already that J.I. is not comfortable yet offensively because JB didn't trust him. Like this time last year, had this been last year, Jaden Ivey's in the game.
No question.
You see what I'm saying? Like he's in the game because he's familiar. The reason he was able to get those game winners was because he was in the game in late game situations.
He showed that he can be the facilitator in late game or the catch and shoot guy in late game.
Right. And the fact that he's not in the game at all in late game situations now, the guy that we know has been clutch for this team, should tell you everything you need to know about the fact that he needs time. He needs time because it wasn't like it was, Caris for a few plays and then Jaden coming back in. No, it was Caris for a stretch with Cade down the stretch. So you could see coach wanted to go with the guy who he knew had comfortability, at least with the teammates and at least with what JB's trying to do. So that to me told me a lot about where JI needs to get to where he is right now as far as comfortability because he wasn't even in the game in late game situations. So we'll leave it there, guys. But not a great game from JI. I'm expecting him to be much better going forward. All right. Let's go ahead, bro, and go to the guy that was put in, who played for him for a lot of the time tonight. Caris LeVert. Caris LeVert, guys, had 10 points on 3 for 8 shooting, 2 of 4 from 3, 2 from the free throw line, 3 boards, 3 assists, 1 turnover in 24 minutes. You just talked about Caris briefly, so I'll let you tee off on him first.
Yeah, Caris, I kind of have a lot of the same views as Tobias. I like a lot of the looks that they get with him at times. I think he's done good in some catch and shoot looks where Cade has opened up and found him. Ivy's, found him a couple times as well. And, he's shown that he can be effective. But, I think sometimes he kind of presses or does too much. Sometimes he holds the ball a little bit too long for me. Again, this wasn't a great game for him. I feel like, he did some good things in some good spots. But I don't know. I think where I think coming off of what we saw with Dennis Schroeder, I think this is what we're expecting from him to kind of be and feeling as well. And again, sometimes there were some games where, Schroeder wasn't really as active as you want him to be. There's some spots and some areas where, Caris was doing well too. I like him defensively. I think he does give them some range, as a defender in some areas. And I do think they do need to be able to lean on him as well. Again, in close games like this, in postseason situations, like you said the other day, these are the kind of moments where you want a guy like Caris on the floor. I think he could have been a little bit better. He missed some, looks that he normally makes. They're not leaning on him too much. Only took 8 shots. But I do want to see him be a little bit more impactful in terms of his scoring, because while I think he's had a couple good games, I still think he's, capable of another gear. I think he could be one of the better, off-bench scorers in the NBA, but we just haven't seen that level of it from him yet. So he's been okay. He was okay today. I like to see a little bit better of him, though, pretty soon.
Yeah, like I like guys in the game who you have confidence are not going to hurt you.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, they may not make a spectacular play, but they're not going to turn the ball over in key situations. They're not going to take bad shots in key situations. He's more of a shooting guard than a point guard, right? We know he's a combo guard. He's a shooting guard who has the ability at times to play point, the same way Jaden at times has that. I think Jaden has a little bit more, but I feel like Caris is looking to score. He's looking to get a bucket. And then when there's an opening, because he's able to break the defense down, then he's looking to make the right play. But stepping out of bounds, when you're trying to teeter the line, like you can't have that late in games.
Right.
In a close game, you just can't have it. You can't have it. He did make some nice plays, knock down some shots, hit a big 3 late in the game, right? So I'm going to give him some credit, but I'd rather have a guy out there who we're going to get to next, who I have more confidence with when the ball is in their hands, or even as an off guard, who's an additional point guard on the court. Just a true playmaker to where I'm not looking to do this, but I can do that. But it's just like, okay, whatever the defense, I'm equally good at either, and I'm going to make the right play. So I'll leave it there with Caris because I want to get to this next guy.
Sure.
Guys, let's go to, and I see you guys in the chat. Since this stream started, I saw this name, and that name is Daniss Jenkins.
Daniss Hive.
Woo! Yes, the Daniss Hive is here for sure.
Yes.
So guys, last game he played, I think it was 7 minutes. Tonight he played 8. And he didn't score, 1 assist, and that's it. You got to play Daniss Jenkins more, bro. Like, I just go back to it's not even one game you can point to. When he first started getting serious minutes, you can talk about the Wizards game and for sure, but the Philly game, the Chicago game, like just down the stretch of games, man, he has been clutch. And not even just scoring, but just period, just making the right play. How many of you guys can remember a play down the stretch of games where Daniss hurt us? I can't think of one.
Nope.
He may not have been doing a bunch of scoring or whatever, but he wasn't hurting us. Nope. Possessions down the stretch are everything. You know that.
Yep.
Possessions are everything. So bad shots, turnovers are killers in late games when it's a close game. You got to be able to execute and be efficient. And Daniss, to me, is the ultimate guy when it comes to just execution. The lights aren't too bright. Even though he hasn't played a ton of NBA minutes, he's shown every single time that he is going to, more times than not, make a play for you. Just make a play for you. I am baffled, bro. Like I said, coach knows way more than I do. I know he's trying to juggle these lineups. But I was thinking, okay, last game, 7 minutes. Okay, maybe make the adjustment. 8 minutes tonight? I don't understand why. Like, even though he didn't score, he's playing really good defense on Peyton Pritchard. Right? He didn't block him like he did Jay Huff last game, but he was staying in front. He was forcing him into bad shots. He was doing all the things you want to see a guy like that do. And once again, we talked about Cade. I say all the time, bro, I need Cade more off ball. I don't really see Cade off ball really, even when Caris is in the game. It's still Cade with the ball. Right? But when Daniss is in the game, you see at times he's able to say, okay, I got it. And let's get Cade an easy bucket. Let's get Cade moving. Let's get him cutting. Things like that. Like, and when he's in the game, it just makes the game so much easier for Cade, bro, when he's in the game. And he makes good decisions. He doesn't turn the basketball over. He's had at least a 3-to-1 assist turnover ratio every game he's played. At least. Sometimes he's had 4 or 5. but he's never hurting you in late game situations. So I feel like it's like you gotta find him minutes. I don't care how you do it. He's not done anything to have his minutes cut the way they've been. Like to go from like 25, 30 to 8 and 7 in back-to-back games. I don't get it. Maybe you can help me out, bro. I just don't understand it. Like y'all know that's my guy. So I was waiting to see him come in the game late based on what he's done. So what did you see, bro?
Yeah, this is one of the biggest surprises I've seen in terms of what JB has done in terms of his 12-man rotations. This has been the biggest surprise for sure. I feel like Daniss has done a lot to show that he can be used for way more than just 8 minutes. Again, if you don't want to play him 25, 30, of course, obviously, you need to condense that down. But I think he's done plenty enough to take some minutes from a few different guys. Like I don't think Javonte really gave you a whole lot. Ron, I think, is still kind of in a like murky area where he's, can make a big play here and there, but I feel like he kind of coasts off sometimes in possessions.
Gotcha.
And Daniss is kind of really making his impact felt a lot, especially in a game where they needed a spark offensively. I think this was really a game they should have been, looking his direction. Again, if they were looking to win, this wasn't just a game where they were just experimenting with everybody. Like Ivy didn't play a whole lot. They leaned on Cade for 36 minutes. They played a lot of starters, 30 plus. So they were looking to win this game. And based on what we've seen over the past several games, Daniss has been one of their best creators and offensive players. Right. And for what you're saying specifically in terms of Cade playing off ball, he's one of the better players that Cade could work with off ball, or at the very least carry while Cade is on the bench. Like we've seen that from him a lot. And I was pretty surprised. Again, people are, lighting up Caris saying take his minutes. I personally wouldn't, just because I think he gives you a little bit more in terms of what he can offensively, in terms of being a spot up shooter or creator of his own. I think they both do that. So I think there are other people that he kind of could have maybe stepped in and played a little bit longer for. But yeah, 8 minutes is not acceptable. I really thought he should have been on the floor a lot more tonight.
I wouldn't have minded him taking some of Caris' minutes, bro. Because once again, like you don't see Cade off ball when Caris is playing.
That's true.
You know what I'm saying? Like that's the thing.
True.
For like 24 minutes for me is a bit like Jaden only played 15 minutes tonight. Yeah. So it wasn't like it was much of his you could have given it to Daniss. You give him 3 of those minutes, they're both at 12. Great. That's still not really, you know what I'm saying? But Caris playing 24, yeah, I would have liked to see Daniss get at least 15 in this game. Give him both 15 and kind of divvy it up that way. Because Cade is like, and it keeps Cade fresh, bro. It keeps him fresh when he's off ball. It allows, maybe he makes that free throw down the stretch. Who knows? I'm just projecting, right? But I'm just saying, the fresher you have Cade down the stretch, the better. And the more you can get him off ball, the fresher he's going to be. And we don't see that with Caris. We just don't see, we see him setting Caris up, or we see, him trying to draw attention off of Cade by having Caris in the game to make a play. But we don't see Caris with the ball in his hands, trying to make something happen while Cade is moving.
Right.
That's why I want to see Daniss in the game, because he's the only other true point guard, bro, on this team. We got combo guards, but it's Cade and it's Daniss. Those are the points. And because Cade can play the two at times, let him play the two. Let him play the two. So that's why I would have him play more minutes and maybe Caris come back a little bit. Because we got to get Cade off ball. You've been saying that for years. You've been saying since get Cade off ball, get Cade off ball. So
post him up.
Yeah, so 8 minutes, bro. Like, you don't want to lose. Somebody said earlier, you don't want to lose guys. I'm not saying you're going to lose them, but you don't want to confuse guys or whatever. Like, we know he's a team player. He just got here, but when he plays that well, you gotta give him more rope, and not even really give him rope because he didn't do anything to really have his minutes cut. So that's kind of where I'm at. Go ahead.
Yeah, I think. Granted, I understand why they didn't empty the clip on the entire roster. But I feel like when they're leaning on their bench, they don't really go to a lot of their strongest offensive players for some reason. Like Ivy right now obviously isn't at that. LeVert is okay. But I feel like 2 of their best bench guys over the past several games have been Daniss and Paul Reed. And Paul didn't play at all tonight. And I don't like that at all. I really want to see more minutes for Paul Reed. Okay. Again, it's going to be tough knowing how many bodies they've had. But I feel like there are some guys that you can sit for a little bit. And again, I just talked about, Duncan playing 30 plus. I don't want to see that from him. I think he needs to come down a little bit more. Okay. And if you sacrifice some of those for Daniss, or
there we go.
I'll agree with you actually on Caris as well. I didn't realize he played 24 minutes, so that's fine. Okay. I understand that. But yeah, I really want to see some more take for them, especially when you're struggling offensively. JB is the guy that shows that he's not scared of pulling the trigger or trying different things when they need a punch or when they need some energy. And I feel like Daniss and Paul Reed have been two of those most important guys consistently, especially during the injury stretch that they just had.
Right.
I really think they got to find a way to get those guys a little bit more involved. Especially in moments where they needed it offensively.
Right. By the way, guys, we have Sarah. Boss is in the chat. She's Boss. Yeah, she's at, like I mentioned, she's at an event for the Denver Nuggets. I think they had a panel tonight. She sent me some clips. I'm gonna check those out later. But she's doing her thing out there, living her best life. So we see you, Boss. The reason we didn't win tonight is because our lucky charm was not here. So I blame you. No, I don't.
I've been trying to read the stats off. I'm trying to do her job. I'm not as fly as she is, but I'm doing the best I can.
Yeah, we gonna hold it down best we can for sure. But yeah, like I'm seeing you guys in the comments too, man. Some people think that there's not okay. So I'm seeing Paul Reed is another energy guy. Nah, he's more than that, bro.
No,
when JD went down for those 2 games, that's when Paul Reed was putting up like 20 and 10. He had 28 one game. Like the boy can hoop
and getting his own too. Again, he's not super dependent like some of the other people we've talked about. He's not an energy guy. No.
Yeah, and like you were saying earlier, as far as being able to get in the paint and go get it. Like sometimes he looks ambidextrous with his shooting because he can go to the left hook, he can go to over the left shoulder, right shoulder, he can finish with either hand. He's not as physically imposing as JD, but when he gets it in there, he's a good finisher. So he's really talented. He's more than just an energy guy, guys. He's more than that.
I agree.
And to your point, I think having another guy out there, just in the paint to be able to give you a little bit more offense would have been helpful. So I'm totally with you on that. Go ahead, bro.
Like if real quick, if Stu was in foul trouble early, I don't want to see JB or JD come right back in the game. I think that's where you can bring Paul Reed in the game.
Okay.
And we saw that right away. Like Stu had 3 quick fouls right out the gate. I think that's where you can slide in Paul Reed, where he can be maybe an energy guy defensively for sure, but offensively, nah, he's a guy that you can go give the ball and he can work his own again, especially in a crunch where they're not really flowing right now. So yeah, I would like to see them be a little bit more creative with finding ways for Paul to be involved.
And for real, this is one of the ways you can do it. By playing Stu and JD together.
Low key, yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Right. You might be right. Yep.
You kind of force him into the lineup by having those 2 guys together. So as soon as one of those guys sits down, you got it instead of, you know what I mean? Now here's the opportunity for so I think JB has his hands full as far as trying to figure this out. But I was just a little bit concerned about that because I was looking for Daniss tonight, man. I was looking for, especially since we weren't getting out in transition.
Right.
And we were stuck. We were continuously like taking the ball out of the hoop.
Yeah.
And we were stuck in the half-court offense. We saw against the Bulls, man. He was making play after play. Against the Sixers, play after play. Against the Wizards, play after play. So it's like, I don't know what else he has to do to garner more time when he's shown over and over again that he can do it. So, maybe this is something that coach can learn from as well. I'm not saying we're teaching anything like that. I'm just saying, I'm sure he is filing away all this information the same way that we're trying to. So I have confidence he's gonna make the right adjustments, but we gotta see more Daniss Jenkins minutes, man. We got it. We just have to. We just have to. So we'll leave it there. I think you guys. I'm gonna get to some more comments here. A game like tonight needed energy, guys. Reed, Green, Daniss, JP was sleeping. Yeah, so that's kind of what you were saying, E. Like with Paul Reed and Daniss Jenkins, same thing. It's like we gotta see more of those guys. And honestly, there's not a lot of game film on Daniss Jenkins.
Right.
There's not a lot of film to even be. You know what I'm saying? Like. Caris LeVert's been playing for a few years. Cade, we know all that. But Daniss Jenkins has played, 10 games?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So it's like you have more unpredictability on their side, not so much on our side because he's not making mistakes.
No.
So that gives you an advantage with him in there. So I don't know, man. I don't know. I'm with Torch Lord. Free Jenkins, man. Free Tank. For sure.
He's the people's champ now. I think JB will have his ear to the street and figure it out.
For sure. We'll leave it there, guys. Let's go ahead and move on to, we got a couple more guys and we'll call it a night. You mentioned Javonte Green earlier a little bit. You guys mentioned him in the chat. Javonte Green tonight, guys, played 10 minutes, which is, I think that may be a season low for him because he's usually in the 20-25 range every game this year. He didn't score, misses 2 free throw attempts or 2 field goal attempts, misses only 3, 1 board, 1 block in 10 minutes. So it's hard to be productive when you're consistently only playing 8 minutes, 10 minutes. That's tough. What did you see from him tonight?
Not a whole lot. I ain't gonna lie. I think if they get to a point where they have to kind of consolidate some minutes, like between him and Ron Holland, I feel like you got to decide between one of those two who's going to be playing. And I feel like, based on where they at with Ron being a first round pick, I feel like it would make more sense, especially for what we're saying about Daniss. If you want to be able to play him more, you got to sit one of those two. And I feel like this could have been one of those nights where Wu was sitting. I wasn't really impressed with a lot that he did. Again, it could be his fault or not. Like you said, in just 10 minutes of play, it's kind of hard to get any kind of a rhythm or flow going to the game. So he's a good energy player. He's the definition of an energy guy. Obviously fits the culture like we talked about before. Yeah. But this wasn't a game where he really impacted a whole lot. Obviously, so. Yeah, I would like to see maybe Ron get a little bit more of those minutes or spread them out for somebody else that's been on a better of a role, to be honest.
Like, honestly, bro, I'm gonna push back a little bit on you. Okay. I feel like he just didn't play enough. Like, when he plays, he's been playing like 20, 25 minutes all season. Mm-hmm. And like, I don't think he was, like, I could be wrong. Maybe I gotta go back and watch. Maybe you're right. I didn't see him doing anything bad tonight. I just didn't see him on the court enough. Like, one of our biggest problems tonight was getting out to shooters. Mm-hmm. That was one of the biggest issues. I don't think that was a Javonte Green problem. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. For guys like I wouldn't mind having him in the game over Duncan Robinson late in the game, because you still got some shooting and you got a guy who's going to give you defense on the perimeter. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? Like, so I don't know, man. The guys who have really stepped up when guys were hurt have had to take a major back seat now that they're back. And I don't know how I feel about that. It's like, okay, it's great we're getting healthy, but the way you balance that is important. It's not like, to me, it should be like, oh, they're healthy. Let's come on back. The starters are back now. Y'all go sit down. Like, no, like, I could see if we were struggling through that period and we were like 10-7 or something like that when our guys went down and we're waiting for those guys to come back, we were rolling just fine. Mm-hmm. So I wouldn't mind, like, it's kind of like, like, for example, in the individual game, bro, when a guy is going, you let him go. You don't pull him just because rotation time is over and it's time to, he's hit his mark. I kind of feel that way as far as with games with these guys. Like, when they're rolling, let them roll. I'm not saying they play more than the starters, but maybe ease the starters back a little bit less. Because I haven't seen Javonte Green play bad. Even tonight, I don't think he played bad. What did he have? He didn't have any. Let me see. He had. He took 2 shots.
Yeah, 2 shots.
1 rebound and the block. Mm-hmm. No turnovers. You know what I'm saying? Like, he wasn't giving up easy hoops. He was getting out on the perimeter. Like, he just didn't play enough to me. I don't know. That's just me. Maybe I gotta go back and watch it. But go ahead.
Yeah, I feel like since the starters came back, I think the beauty of, we keep talking about Daniss so much, but the beauty of his game is, even if Cade is on the floor, he still plays like, I'm about to go eat. Right. And I don't think we're seeing that right now from Wu. He's playing like he's adjusting to everybody else being around. He's not really looking for his shot. He's not really doing a whole lot where it seems like he's trying to tip the game, in his favor. It feels like I don't want to say he's just going through the motions, but he's just not as aggressive as we saw him be. And for obvious reason, too. Like we just said, if you got Cade on the floor, if they're working the flow of, trying to find Duncan or finding Caris for a look, then, obviously that's what they're looking to do. But, obviously Javonte's not a guy that they draw plays for. Right. But for the most part, it doesn't look like he's really trying to even look for his own shot for the most part. So, I would like to see him, if that would be the case, maybe take a little bit better advantage of his time, because it's dwindling based on what they got to do. If they have expectations of getting to where they want to be, that means, these minutes are going to be scarce for a lot of these guys, and you got to be able to make them all count to make sure that you're proven, in those important stretches.
Okay. All right. I hear you. I ain't going to push back no more.
Yeah, just want to see a little bit more. That's all. It wasn't terrible. I just want to just see if you're going to play, do something. That's all. Just do a little bit
I got
more.
you. I got you. Okay, we'll leave it there, guys. We'll leave it there. Let's go to Stu. So tonight, guys, Stu finished with 6 points on 3 for 7 shooting, 0 for 2 from the free throw line, 9 boards, 1 assist, 1 turnover, 1 block in 20 minutes. Any, what did you see from Beef Stu tonight? I know. I kind of feel the same way. I know. Go ahead.
Stu, Stu has a problem of taking himself out of games sometimes. Again, the 3 fouls just out the gate just killed him.
I feel like at least one or two of those though were like compared to what they weren't fouling on Boston or calling on Boston. Like, man, come on.
It was the first one. The first one wasn't that bad. Yeah, the other two though, I think he was kind of out of control. And I want to see him try to find a way to balance that out. Like 20 minutes for him off the bench, I don't think is enough. I think, Tobias played 27, so not that many. But for him, I want to see him, find the ability to stay on the floor a little bit longer.
Okay.
Did a really good job hitting the glass. 9 rebounds. I love his activity on the offensive glass.
Yes. Agree.
Did a good job of hitting some shots. What I really like of him now offensively, he's finishing above the rim way more often than he has his entire career. There were a lot of points where he was just like soft lobbing the ball off the glass. He's dunking everything now, and I absolutely love that out of his game. I want to see him find a way to stay on the floor a little bit longer. Again, based on the matchups, or if it's a situation where Tobias, just doesn't have it and Stu got to start, I'd be okay with it. Based on a lot of arguments that we've made, I think that's kind of the versatility of their lineup, especially if they can get guys like Paul Reed off the bench to play behind those two. So I think that would be important. I just think, maybe Stu could have been a little bit better today. I wasn't super impressed with, offensively what he was doing. Didn't really take any threes. I was kind of surprised by that. Missed 2 free throws. But it was an okay game for him. Again, it was a lot of just kind of okay performances, and I think he was kind of in that mix for me.
Yeah. Like one of the fouls, you're right. Like that I saw where he was out of control. One of them was an offensive foul where he was doing the thing.
Oh, yeah.
That I was hoping that you wanted to see JD do more of. He was just too aggressive with doing it. And what that was is trying to establish position in the paint. He kind of hooked the guy a little bit because he was sitting down in the chair. He just got a little bit too aggressive. He hooked him. So I'm not mad at that because at least he's trying to do the right thing as far as taking advantage of the matchup in the paint. It was just a little bit too aggressive. Like we were saying, JD, like you want to see him establish himself in the paint. Like Stu was trying to do that. He was just too aggressive going about it. So I think that was one of the plays you're talking about as far as just being out of control. I agree with you on that. But defensively, man, he made some really big plays, man. He blocked some shots, some key shots. He bothered a ton of other shots. He's an improved finisher at the rim, like we talked about. He did a lot of dirty work in this game, bro, that won't show up. Like we always talk about guys, how if you got 10 points in 30 minutes, you better be destroying the defensive side of the ball. And I felt like he did a really good job defensively, especially in that second half of just, on one hand, he was forcing guys into tough shots, but he was really good as far as just holding them to one shot toward the end of the game, right? When the game slowed down. It wasn't a ton, because with threes, it's going to be long misses, and those are just tough. But he really did a good job of just holding them to one shot when he was in the game, later in the game. So that's the defense part I'm talking about as far as trying to win with that. But you're right. He still got a ways to go on the offensive end. So, I'm not going to, harp on him offensively because that's still a work in progress. But I still feel like defensively, there's the presence that he had when he's in the game. And you mentioned all the time, like closing out the shooters. He's one of the best perimeter bigs in the league defensively.
Absolutely. You
know what I'm saying? So it's like, and he did a good job again tonight. He wasn't perfect, but he was better than JD. You know what I'm saying? Tonight,
yeah, he was.
As far as that. So, so I feel like he could have been better like everybody else. But I feel like out of everybody that played, I would put him more so on the side of had a better game as opposed to having a bad game. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
He's a guy where the numbers aren't ever going to tell his story.
Right.
So I'm fine with that. Yeah, he's always going to be the guy that's scrappy. Again, I love the activity he has on the offensive glass. He does a really good job, like you said, limiting other teams to just one shot and then getting up the floor, and then giving open extra opportunities for the Pistons. They do a good job with that and their size in general. I love the way they scrap and hit the glass and, try to fight for the second chance opportunities. So, again, Stu's the living embodiment of, what the dog pound is for this foundation of this team. Again, I would want to see a little bit more in terms of, his offensive impact and defensive a little bit as well, too. But I think this was a fine game for him. It was okay.
Yeah, I agree with you there, too, bro. All right, let's go to get to our last guy, man, and we will call it a night, bro. Ron Holland. So Ron Holland, guys, in this game, finished with 6 points on 3 of 6 shooting, 0-2 from 3, 1 board, 1 assist, 2 steals in 14 minutes. Kind of a bounce back-ish kind of game for Ron? I'll let you tee off first, bro.
Yeah, his game has been his season has been a bit of an enigma for me. I thought we'd see, like, I remember we talked about who we thought our breakout players are going to be this season.
Yeah.
And Ron was my pick. I thought we were going to see a lot more from him. And maybe it's just because it's early, too. Again, I think we're still caught up in how great they've been, not realizing it's still, the early stretches of this season.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know. I just feel like we're seeing still a lot of timidness. I feel like in terms of his creation, in terms of, shooting from the perimeter, I think he's doing a lot better. Still confident. I really like the up and under reverse that he had. That came off a couple passes. But I just want to see him a little bit more aggressive in finding his own looks. I think, again, they need that from him. I think it would help him as well because he's another one of the Pistons that don't really get a respectful whistle. So I think if he's driving, if he's more aggressive offensively, maybe that can change a bit of his perception defensively when he's defending on the other end. So I'd like to see a little bit more of that in his game. He was okay. Really wouldn't have minded probably seeing him play a little bit more, to be honest. But again, this is another one of those games where he could learn a little bit more from the film. But yeah, he was okay tonight. Yeah,
I thought he was, like, as opposed to, the past 5 games, this may have been his best one on both sides. Mm-hmm. Right? I mean, we know last game he was a defensive dog. Didn't score. Right? Tonight he wasn't as good defensively. He was good. Right. But he gave us a little bit of offense. And I think somebody said it earlier. It's just that he's still trying to find his way. Because I feel like last year he had a huge jump and he was allowed to really do whatever he wanted offensively when it was there as far as getting downhill. And it feels like this year he kind of hit a wall a little bit. Mm-hmm. Maybe teams have kind of game planned and watched his game a little bit this past offseason. Right. But it seemed like somebody kind of pulled him to the side and say, hey, focus on the defense. So it seems like he's just trying to find that balance, like a lot like J.I., to a smaller extent, obviously, but he's trying to find that sweet spot of how to be effective on both sides of the ball. Yeah. So I think that's why we see it in stretches and then it goes away. And it comes back and then it goes away. He's still trying to figure it out. But I do not think at all that, and Clifton said, if Ron was going to take a leap, it would have happened. No, I definitely disagree with that, bro. We're 18 games into the year. No, for a second-year player, it does. No. It's not linear like that. No. It's not linear at all. It's ebb and flow with a young guy like this, and especially considering the injuries, not having consistent roles, the role continuing to change, the minutes changing every game. That's hard, man, for anybody. You got to be a vet to be able to still perform regardless of that. So he's a second-year guy. Go ahead, bro.
Yeah, I was just going to say, even if he's, like, missing a lot of these shots, because I agree with you, I feel like it's not a timeline of when he should be looking a certain way. We're not doing that, especially when a team just got off of a 13-game win streak. Like, we're not doing that right now.
Right.
In terms of what we see from Ron, at least what I've seen, I don't even have a problem if he was missing a lot of his shots. I just want to see him have the confidence to go do it, because I feel like, he has that gene in him. JB talks about how fearless he is and, how he's not scared to – go out and get his own or do what he needs to do to help this team win. And I feel like he definitely does that defensively, but I feel like there's still some spots offensively where he's passing up some opportunities where maybe he's, sometimes we'll have the ball in the perimeter and he'll dribble instead or dribble around into a pass instead of just going, putting his head down and going to look for a shot at the rim. I just want to see a little bit more of that selfishly. Again, it's not a rush at all when the team is winning and you have other guys that are playing great basketball. He's not at all behind on any curve at all right now. He's doing fine. Again, I want to see him be better than he was tonight, but he's not behind any curve at all.
Right. And I don't know if he's ever going to be a guy who just says, give me the ball, get out the way, and let me go get it.
Right.
But we do know that he has some offensive ability. But once again, for now, I think he's better as a finisher in creating his own offense off of his defense. Mm-hmm. But when it's not there in transition, having a guy like Daniss Jenkins on the court with him in the half court would go a long way for a guy like Ron Holland, as opposed to a guy like Caris LeVert, who's looking more so for his own offense. You feel me? Yeah. That's once again why I think Daniss would be good, because he's a table setter. Mm-hmm. He loves to get guys involved. He's looking to get guys involved more than he's looking to score. But he can score nearly as well as he can facilitate. You know what I'm saying? So I think that would do wonders for Holland, is just having a guy like Daniss on the court who's looking for him and who knows how to set guys up when he's in the game.
Yeah, I think a lot of the versatility that we're seeing from JB, like, again, I don't mind some areas where Caris is bringing the ball up, but I'd much rather it be Daniss at this point because Caris can be good as a secondary, playmaker where he's, creating off a roll or isolating closer to the hoop. That's fine, but I don't think, obviously, he's not a natural point guard. That's just not where you want him to be, especially when you have guys behind him that are playing so much better. And, yes, I 100% agree that it would definitely help somebody like Ron find easier looks for himself, feed off of the energy that Daniss gives and plays with. I feel like that would be huge for them. So, you might be right, man. I think Daniss may be an X factor that JB might be sleeping on at the moment, but we'll see if they try to open it up more than 8 minutes like they did tonight because that can't be repeated.
Right. I think we're all in agreement on that. We all have our theories and what we think, and we're all probably in some way, shape, or form right. But I think that we all agree on that as far as free DJ, free Tank, man. We got to get that guy some more minutes for sure. Right. So, guys, we'll leave it there, man. So, guys, we're not going to talk NBA Cup tonight. I'm too annoyed to talk about that at this point. I just want to get this game behind us. But the next game is actually an NBA Cup game. Another one, back-to-back games, is this Friday against the Orlando Magic. I will be in the building for that one. It's a home game, Eric, because I know you're going to be there for sure.
Yep, I'll be there.
In the building for sure. So if you guys are going to be there, let me know. Let us know where you're sitting, whatever. We can, meet at halftime at the Pistons store or whatever. But definitely let us know if you guys are going to be in that game. Let us know in the comments section of this video. But that's wrap for this video. You got anything else, E? Anything else you want to get to?
No, I hate Derek White, but thank you all for tuning in. I appreciate y'all.
So real quick, so what did you see? Like, he was an annoyance, bro. I'm like this. Yeah, I do not like that dude, bro. He gets on my nerves. Go ahead.
You're gonna be mouse quiet for a whole first half. Then out of nowhere, you just start jacking up 3 after 3 after 3, and they just knocking down out of nowhere. Like, he is an absolute irritant, man. And I believe sometimes it's okay to be a hater and be biased. He is a fine player, and that's as much respect as I'm gonna pay for him because his game 100% annoys me. Like the defense with the Alvarado type swipes, that he did a couple times actually. Again, the offense he's not the guy that you would think would be lighting you up the way he did, and that's exactly what happened. Like he was letting things get hot, and again, you would think after 1 or 2, like, all right, maybe we should stop here and take him off and let him drive. They just kept letting him shoot from distance, and it drove me absolutely crazy.
Bro, like, I'm with you, man. Like, some guys you can dislike because they don't play for your team, but you still, like, I wouldn't mind having him on this team if he wasn't playing for that team. Like, TJ McConnell, for example. Like, before we got Daniss Jenkins and, last year, that was your guy. You were the one banging that drum as far as for TJ McConnell all year. And he proved you right throughout the whole season. He's one of those guys I hate when we're playing him, but I like him. Derek White ain't that guy for me.
No. At
all. It's just something about him that just really gets under my skin, bro. I don't know what it is. So it sounds like the chat kind of agree. Anything else on that? But I know that's not your boy at all. Like, I know we have many conversations about Derek White all the time, unfortunately.
Yeah,
I'm a little trolling in the chat. Go ahead.
I'm going to try to put some professional slander in my article. Check it out at clutchpoints.com in the morning. We'll see.
Repeat that so that everybody can hear it.
Clutchpoints.com. You can tap in on all my beat reporting on there. Also got a YouTube page, Top Title Detroit. Please help me subscribe on there. And you can lock in with me on social media as well at I am Eric Vincent. Appreciate it.
Absolutely, bro. Make sure you guys go check him out, man. He's one thing about him, man. He's the Daniss Jenkins of what he does. Like, he's consistent. He is consistent. Like, all his work is no. All your work is great work, bro. I told you I read most of your stuff. Like, I repost your stuff every time you post something for a reason. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's good. It's really quality stuff, bro. So I really appreciate your fine work. Like he said, check him out, guys. Top Title Detroit also on YouTube. Go subscribe, man. Go over there and show him some love. He's putting out content all the time. Everything that he's saying over here, he's saying in even more in depth over there. So if you like what he's got to say, go over this after we're done with this and go subscribe to that, man, for sure.
Appreciate y'all, man. Thank you.
Absolutely, bro. So, guys, that is a wrap for this show, man. Happy early Turkey Day to everybody, whether you celebrate or not. I hope you guys all get a chance to unplug, relax, reset after this game, and just spend some time with your friends and family, man, and appreciate the more important things. I know we talk about basketball, we get really deep into it, but let's take some time to appreciate the more important things, our family, our friends, life in general, each other. So Make sure you guys also eat good, right? Make sure you guys tune into the Lions game. Hopefully we can get a dub to top it off as we're catching the itis tomorrow night, right?
Yes,
right? So hopefully so. But we appreciate you guys for showing up, man, and showing out as you guys always do. And that's we gonna call it a night, man. So y'all know the drill. Detroit versus everybody. See y'all Friday when we try to start a new streak. Peace.
All the dirty work, all dog. I'ma dive on the floor, go try to block every shot, and I'ma be physical with you the whole game. You know Stu gonna be physical with you. When you think of the Pistons, you think it's just hard work and just gritty basketball. That's just the identity you gotta have when you put on that jersey.
I'm not your average breed of canine. Not a good dog, I'm bad boy for life. I set the tone, don't care about no tick. Let it be known, I get my respect. Come in the lane and see I don't bluff. If you retaliate, that's on ya. They talking pundits, I heard your shade. Talking that shop, you must run this way. Trying to tell ya, if the dog palm, mess around, find out, if the dog palm, mess around, find out, for some barbecue sauce, boy, you better crop a hill, cause I'm like that. When you're ready for some barbecue sauce, boy, you better crop a hill, cause I'm like that. The dog mom mess around.